Hello, my name is Francis Fox. Um, I'm trained in all the psychic skills, and with that training, I bring to the table information that it is my intention that it make your life better. I'm dealing with some pretty heavy duty issues, which are basically the issues that the country, the United States, is dealing with. And I can understand increasingly why it is that the Epstein list has not been released, uh, because the entire country is going to collapse. It's so big and so widespread and so built into our system that it's going to collapse. So Trump is going to have to be willing to invest in some very large nets to try and make the collapse a little bit softer. You're aware of the fact that I have not had mail, US mail, for a month and a half. It's going to be along 2 months because I'm paying my second month's rent. So it would be two months. And we've had 3 address changes. One done by the head of the post office in Coral Gables, and I'm going to make the mayor personally responsible for that. That shouldn't be happening. They shouldn't be so comfortable doing that. And then I had the address changed by somebody professional when I first was going to move, and then my mail carrier, who's very sweet, I gave her the change of address, and I still have only gotten 2 pieces of mail that were from companies that I'm working with new, City Furniture and another company, and so they don't have to go through the forwarding process. It turns out that there's been a scam by the Cuban Mafia to take money that was supposed to come to me, and that's supposed to be some legal documents, and they falsified powers of attorney, and I was supposed to be murdered. In other words, like 2 weeks ago, I was supposed to have been taken down. And that didn't happen. So now they've got a problem and it's getting unraveled. And I have to assume it'll probably hit the news because if it's up to me, it's going to hit the news. And every single person is going to be exposed for what it is that they are so that this can stop. Not as revenge, but so that it can stop. So I want to talk about black magic and law. I am shocked, maybe because my self esteem is so low as a female because of all the sex issues. I am shocked at the number of women, but also men, but mainly women, that use black magic to ensnare the man that they want and that they can't quite seem to get to lock down whatever it is that they want with them. And it's not fair because a lot of times they end up having to pay child support, alimony to somebody that they would have never married or associated with if black magic hadn't been done on them. But I'm going to tell you that that's going to change. And I would hope that all those women and men, because I've had several men do that to me, black magic, to tie me to them sexually. I want all those people, they're going to be shaking in their boots because there was a lawsuit in France. Oh, darn, I don't have my protective necklace on. Hold on, let me get another one. Just have to pull out a new one from my drawer. There was a lawsuit in France by a sports figure. I have to look it up. I was hoping to look it up before this chat. And he contended that the opposition or somebody having to do with sports on his team, the other team, did black magic, and he won in court. So start trembling in your boots if you did that to somebody, because that stuff can be proven years later. And it is being proven in a court of law. Good times are going to roll in, and we're going to be allowed what God gave us, which was free will. And I hope that the people that do that don't get a moment's sleep from here until the day that they die. You're not supposed to be tied to somebody sexually that you don't want to be with. It's not sex trafficking. It's probably not as bad as sex trafficking, but it is. And I don't understand it because as a female with low self-esteem, why on earth would I want to be with somebody who doesn't want to be with me? Give me a break. Anyway, so I wanted to give you that good news for those of you that are in shock at the level of magic that there is in this society in the United States. Got it? I'm talking about elegant people that you have dinner and lunch with, that you do business with. Things are going to change very quickly as soon as we incorporate other dimensional knowledge, information, etc. And we are in Revelations. And it's really fascinating because I'm looking at it and I'm seeing things unravel for people. I said something to somebody the other day without being aware that that person is doing black magic on me, and I wasn't aware, and that they misunderstood. They thought that I knew that I was sending them what I was sending because I knew that they were doing black magic. And it wasn't until I saw the reaction that I went, oh my God, this is just yet another person trying to control me because of my gifts, my skills. This is not right. Anyway, we're talking about a dark side that is allowed to expand because there's no light shown on it. Is that the right verb? I'm not sure. Um, and we need to shine the light on this because a lot of people are getting hurt that should not have been hurt. A lot of people in marriages they shouldn't be in and wouldn't be in if they had been allowed their free will. A lot of children are being born under circumstances that would not have happened if somebody in the marriage had not decided they were going to use black magic to tie up the other parent, who became a parent. This is not good. I figured something out, and I don't think I said it in my last chat. We have a planet that's going through end times revelations, and this is a good thing. It's good for me. I'm not sure if it's good for you. I'm not sure if it's going to be good for your business, but it's happening anyway. It's not a choice. It's a cycle. It's a plan um, by beings that are much bigger than we are, and it's a good plan because it's when there's not enough flow of information that these ugly things are allowed to happen. I have so many people that would really, honestly, they don't really even say hello to me. They say, shut up. And the information that I want to give them would make their lives better, but they want me to shut up. So I think I'm going to take that as my nickname. Shut up. Shut up, Francis. Anyway, and I don't work for anybody. So in that sense, they're not able to shut me up totally. This country has presented itself as a very nice country full of nice people out there to help the world. So we have the Peace Corps, which is a branch of the US intelligence, going out there to help other countries. And then we have, and I need to be careful because I don't want to be taken down by these other people. We have so many organizations that appear to be to help others in other countries that are a branch of the US intelligence and are a way of getting into those countries. And then there's a story I can't tell because it happened again too recently, and it would explain why this world is on the brink of World War III. We're going to let that go. So in this country, we have had a level of darkness that has been lurking that has not been able to be revealed because too many nice people have been blackmailed, and then the other people are blankety blank asleep. The number of people I told my history to when I started to do therapy in the 90s, not a single one ever did anything. They were like, oh my God. And then they went into, why would she be making up that story? And I would say, you know me to be a liar? No, 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 you don't lie. I know you. You never say, you never lie. Like I have a couple of friends that say, don't ask Frances a question because she will tell you the truth. And yet it wasn't to their advantage, not to their advantage to accept what I said because then they wouldn't be able to sleep at night. So I finally told people, you know what I'm going through, your kids are going to go through. And that's what's happening today. That was 30 years ago. Okay. So the country, this country posed behind, we're helping the world. And behind that, we're helping the world was to get a hand in to other people's business. And the good people were running around being so critical of third world countries and uneducated populations, where there was a lot more heart chakra energy and giving legitimate giving than there is in this country. And the nice white people, okay, on top of their hierarchy, didn't really want to know, were asleep to what was really going on in their name. And now in Revelations, it doesn't really matter who you blackmail, it's going to come out. And it is coming out. And it's the whole Epstein client list. Now, there's somebody on that client list, which I don't know that it's on the client list in that black book, but I have to assume from what everybody is saying, those people were decent people, and something happened. And there we go again with that movement in psychology of, rather than identifying people as being ill, they are suggesting we find out what happened to the person, that they would do something that would go against human nature, their own core nature, because all of us are good people. I know that. I've seen that. I've been there. I've been there in the middle of incredible darkness, and I have been able to see what's going on inside the people, which includes me. So we have posed behind this thing. So we are a nation full of, I'm not too sure what the definition of Karens are. We're a nation full of judgmental, finger-pointing people. How great we have been. That's no longer the case, because I know within the last couple of years, so much has come out, and so many of us are feeling ashamed, which is why we're also going to collapse, because shame takes you down very quickly. You cannot just be full of light, because then you can't be on planet Earth and be stable. You have a light side and a dark side. That's the way the game was set up. I didn't set it up. I don't like it. Why do we have to do it? But that's what was set up. So those that want to embrace that we're just nice and we're just good, which includes this country, are lying through their teeth. Those people know we're just doing this for the good of everybody else. They're lying through their teeth. And one of the reasons I'm not going to be able to be taken down is because I lived in extreme darkness. I recuperated from it, not totally, paid my tens of thousands of dollars of therapy. I know the dark. I had to live it as a mind control victim, and I chose the light. You have to choose. It's a balance. When you try to just be in the light, you're not balanced, and the whole thing is going to come tumbling down, which is what's happening today, perhaps with the Democrats, who want to help everybody. But then you go ahead and you pull away a little bit, and they're very, very angry. Because someplace inside of them, they have reactions to things that happen, but they hit them because they didn't want to be like that, because they want to be nice people. Nice people are really dangerous. Don't give me a nice person. I want somebody real. Every time somebody says, well, I don't like Trump, and I go, we don't need to like anybody. We need to know that they're going to represent us well, that they're going to be able to stand up to enemies, and that when they talk, they're saying the truth, even if you don't like the way it sounds and you think they should be more diplomatic. What's this whole thing with liking people? What is this whole thing with liking people? You're going to keep a housekeeper or an employee because you like them? No, you're not. You're going to fire them and get somebody who actually does their work. Why did that get applied to Trump? Those are bad spirits that really are they're very efficient. So I'm going to look at my notes again. Oh, today I told my kids I had lunch with Rene de Viagas, the father of Anouk de Viagas Halpern, I guess her name is. She's a lawyer in Miami. I'm not saying she did anything wrong. She's Rene's daughter, which means she must have been through living hell. Anouk, I can recommend good therapists, because this is going to take a long time to recuperate from. Anyway, I had lunch with him. I didn't really have lunch with him, but I went to pick up my lunch because I can't drive in my car safely, and I can't order lunch because they have interfered too many times in the process and put black magic in my food, whatever. And he was there. And yes, I've been told he's lurking around the street that I'm living on almost like full time, because it's basically, he either gets me under control, but it doesn't really matter if he gets me under control, because too much information has gotten out. So anyway, So I get in there and I'm actually standing next to this man who's been my handler for 20 years, whose face gets erased from my mind. And I just faced him and started to play with him energetically. He was fine in the beginning, not too happy because he doesn't do anything up front. Everything is sitting in his chair, his computer with his little microwave machines and energy machines. What do they call it? Directed energy machines. Safe in his little house on 63rd Court. By the way, that family should consider deeding that house over to me. It's got to be worth $2 or $3 million. They owe me that. So you might want to consider that. And maybe I'll leave out a lot of details and I'll have there'll be some kind of return. So I'm not quite so frustrated. So anyway, so I'm standing next to him and I just faced him. He was here. I was here. We were supposed to be waiting for food. I don't know what he was waiting for. He wasn't waiting for food. So I just went like this and I started to work on him. He got very nervous. That made me so happy. It made me very happy because it means that energetically and in terms of magic, he's not able to control me and he is not in control of himself. The people that work with Rene need to know that when he got caught, and I don't remember the name of the island, but like 30 or 40 years ago, he was caught, he and his friends, they were giving contracts for doing work, construction on an airport at a small, very poor island. And of course, it was a complete setup, just like Grove Isle. They did all those contracts in Grove Isle. They were all a setup, and everybody got money. But they got caught, and he ended up in jail with the rest of them, except he got pulled out of jail because he sold his co-conspirators down the river. Guys, you guys that are supporting, including the guy that showed up at Flanagan's today, he'll sell you down the river. Why don't you move out of Miami for a while so we can't get to your family? Okay? Because he's going to fall and he's going to take you with him. Don't keep doing his bidding because you're going to go down with him and he will be pulled out of jail by the government again. Look up his name, Rene de Viagas. There's not a lot. They tried to whitewash the whole internet thing. There's not a lot, but it is there. But it's news from the newspaper from that little teeny weeny island. Okay? So whoever's supporting this guy is going to go down, but he won't because he's a specialist in energy directed weapons. He had a house in Washington, D.C. that had a attic, first floor, second floor, and a basement. It was the only thing it was used for was for energy directed machines. So we must talk about that must have been dozens of people that he was controlling in Washington, D.C. with his energy directed machines. Now, you think some people, authority didn't know that? Of course they knew that. Of course they knew that. There are people that know that. Now, are they blackmailed? Or they just plain bad people? There's nobody playing bad people. He, by the way, is very sick. He is actually not he's a zombie. Which is why I feel bad about trashing his daughter because her father's a zombie. But we got to start someplace. We got to get this stopped because I'm going to have a life. And I'm going to have a good life. In spite of people being allowed to do whatever the hell they want in the other dimensions because nice people are too lazy and too asleep. I'm going to look at my notes in case there's something else that I forgot that I want to tell you. The United States, you're naive. But naive didn't do your homework. Or you look down on people that look less prosperous than you. Oh, darn. Third world countries, more heart-oriented, okay, than this country. The fact that you give millions, which doesn't get to the people anyway, doesn't mean you're nice people. It means that some of your money is being directed, a teeny weeny is put there for photo ops, and the rest goes to the pockets of the people that pull the wool over your eyes. So we are in end times. I am taking the chat off because, so we're in end times. Light and dark is coming together, which means the dark has to be exposed, but the light also. But I've told you before, and and you're gonna say you're contradicting everything you said. No, I'm not contradicting everything I said because the laws and the rules are different depending upon the dimension that you're talking about. On the physical dimension, these people are animals. In the other dimensions, they have been willing to carry a darkness that's on the planet that did not originate on the planet. So how do you take care of that? How do you look at somebody who's doing something god awful, knowing that it's an energy that could have landed on your kid? And that's where we have the mad scramble of the apocalypse. How do we integrate this? Now, when you go to Tantric Buddhism, they have integrated it. They understand that the dark is just as valuable as the light, and maybe even more sacred. So, how does this help me now? Not a lot. Not in the middle of this mess, but it is what I teach. I have learned it the hard way. So I'm going to tell a story. Maybe I shouldn't tell a story, but I'm going to tell the story anyway. I have been in situations set up by the government when I was a child, whatever, and it has been like god awful. Somebody was going to die. Okay. Like there was a choice of who was going to die. And I remember looking at the person that did end up dying and that person speaking to, oh my God, speaking to me subconsciously and saying, I'm the one that needs to go. You need to continue. And I wasn't killing anybody. It was this whole whatever, which I don't need to go into. And I didn't have those memories until years after I started therapy. And I had a shaman who said to me, and he said that animals have that kind of arrangement with humans. That if the humans need food and then they're going to go to the river where the animals are going to be drinking water, and they go there and that's where they're going to be able to kill an animal to have food for the tribe or whatever, the animals know that. And they go there anyway because they know that the humans need to survive. Same thing applies to humans. So it gets really difficult to keep your head straight because when this planet was set up as a planet of light and dark, we weren't given the rules. We weren't given maps. We were sent, the veils went down and we were sent in to go through this process, which now the veils go up and we're all horrified. I'm not trying to end this on a good note. I'm trying to give you all the information I know as I have tried to piece this together for myself personally. I only have several weeks left to go for all of this. For me to be comfortable, for me to be able to get into my car, for me to be able to do things, for me to be able to have friends and not think I'm putting them in danger, for me to be able to have dinner with my family, my grandkids, whatever. But the society, because we haven't understood these basic laws of the planet, which they understand in Tantric Buddhism, the highest position in Tantric Buddhism, the highest position in Tibetan Buddhism is not the Dalai Lama. He's the political leader of Tibetan Buddhism. And if somebody knows that I'm wrong, you need to let me know. No problem. Send me an email. No problem. The highest position is held by the Panchen Lama, who's the spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism. Oh, okay. So what's so interesting about that? When the last Panchen Lama was born, the Chinese took him. And you all know about that thing with the Tibetan Buddhists and the Dalai Lama, and they needed the Panchen Lama, but no, they had another one. You don't have another one. It's a soul that's born. It's not born in two different places, but the Chinese knew enough. And you guys don't even know. You're like, well, what the hell? It's one little kid. One little kid? Royal bloodlines? Jesus Christ, royal bloodline. Somebody needs to look that up. They've written conspiracy books on that. Nobody believes it. You should really widen your lens because what you don't know is the reason why we're in this mess. So anyway, in Tantric Buddhism, the reason the Panchen Lama is he's alive still, but I haven't kept up with that. is because he knows how to command the light and the dark spirits. He works with both, not command. He works with both the light and the dark. And that gives you more power than anything else on the planet. Nobody knows that. Practically nobody knows that. That's why we're in trouble. The Buddha said, or it is supposed to have said, the basis of human anguish is ignorance, lack of information, not knowing. That's why apparently I was dumb enough to be willing to come into this lifetime. The veils go down and I have to live this that I've lived that's for like 10 different novels because nobody can print it as if it was true because nobody's going to believe it. Yeah, they will believe it because there were 10,000 children apparently. I'm just parroting information I was given in the program that I was in, and there were several programs. So there's got to be a few of them around that will have totally similar stories. Actually, when I started my therapy process, I went to a regular therapist. He was a male. He said I needed a female psychologist. And then she was specialized in sexual abuse. And then she said I needed a specialist because this was too much. University of Miami psychologist, all of whom believed my stories. I would actually ask them why they were believing me because it was just too impossible, the memories I was having. Why on earth would they believe me? And they said, well, are you lying? And I said, no. And they said, okay. Did you have body sensations? Yeah. Okay, whatever. So then the specialist in sexual abuse said, you need a specialist. What kind of a specialist? So they sent me to somebody, also University of Miami, psychologist, who specialized in victims of torture and prisoners of war. That was her specialty. In other words, people that had been through incredible trauma. But that wasn't good enough because the Cuban Mafia was still abusing me and threatening me and all the rest of that. So then one of the therapists said, psychologist said, we can't really treat you anymore. Why not? Because you're still getting abused. So we're supposed to report to the police. Yeah, sure. You mean the police? It's the Cuban Mafia here in Miami that is already in Cuban Mafia group is already in a lawsuit in Washington. That Cuban, she said, you have to go to a specialist. I don't know. How many times are you going to bump me up to specialists? Well, there is somebody who specializes in military mind control victims, which is Dr. Colin Ross. So I read, okay, he wouldn't do outpatient. I was going to fly to Texas and have 3 sessions with him, but he wouldn't do outpatient. Now, I'm not even sure that that's accurate because the person that set this all up was a person that was trying to take me down. Okay. So I worked with him. He has an institute to work with cult victims, military mind control victims, and satanic victims. So my first appointment with him, he said to me, I'm not going to be able to help you. Why not? He said, because your programming is really sophisticated. Okay. Okay. I'll go home. And he said, no, 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 stay. We'll work together, but I'm telling you, I'm not. You know what? I was so stupid. I stayed. So I'm living in Grove Isle 30 years later. And it turned out, as I told you, that Grove Isle is the center, the tree from which the Cuban Mafia was born, which I'm not exactly sure that that's totally accurate, but that's where the core of them are. It apparently, at least several of them. So I moved there without really knowing that. And what they did was they pulled out the information of me having gone to this Dr. Colin Ross, who was a psychiatrist in Texas, that I was sent to because of them. And they told everybody I was mentally ill. Anyway, I can sue Grove Isle because it was their head of security that the Cuban Mafia, who was Venezuelan, that the Sonny, his name was Sonny, that the Cuban Mafia was using to get the people in Grove Isle, the residents, the naive residents, to turn against me. So there's something called the HIPAA Act. You're never supposed to touch people's medical records. That's how they did Watergate, which, by the way, were the Cubans. So I don't know if there's a statute of limitations, but I think I should probably sue all of these people so that people will pay attention. Pay attention. I remember when I was Grovile, this very nice lady that was there, that was walking around, they used to discuss me in their meetings against the law. And she walked up to me. She said, "How are you doing?" I said, "I'm fine." In other words, when I worked with Cullen Ross was 30 years ago. And she said, "Oh," she said, "You know what? I think you're a very nice lady, and I know that you ran a really nice business that's still around." So and I didn't really know what she was talking about until later. She was trying to figure out how she could put these two pieces of information together, that I was totally mentally ill, okay? And I worked with this guy with cults, and what she was seeing, because we used to get together every afternoon by the water. Grow is very beautiful. I hope it sinks into hell, okay? But it's very beautiful. Anyway, the whole thing with the light and the dark and the tantric Buddhism and the understanding. And I was telling my followers yesterday when we got together to do intention mantras, um, that there is a tantric Buddhist monk who's really fantastic. He's written incredible books. He's a alcoholic. Everybody knows it. It's very, he's kind of like a little bit nuts, but that's no problem in tantric Buddhism, because they understand that we all have a dark side. And apparently the darker the dark side, the lighter the light side. It's exhausting. It is truly exhausting. I'm gonna look at my notes again. Mm. I have a story that I'm holding back because it is so god awful. So god awful. And it has to do with transferring the energy and the spirit of a person to another person. Not a zombie. A zombie is when your spirit leaves, you disassociate, which the Lord's Prayer says, don't do that, the original Lord's Prayer, and another spirit's coming in. No, no, no. It's like an add on. And I have the memory of that being done to me when I was 12. But it is, the way it is done is so god awful that maybe I will tell the story, but it's not going to be today, because I need to keep legitimacy around my name. And these things are so dark and so far away from most of your experiences that it's kind of hard for you to accept. And I hear you and I understand, but you're being irresponsible. Irresponsible if you shut it out, because then it leaves just a few people to be carrying that energy and to be subjected to that energy. My God, I don't have any more notes other than to tell you, go to Black astrologers. If you have darkness in your light, in your life, if you're dealing with a lot of really ugly stuff, go to a Black astrologer, because it's really different. There's no holding back. There's no manipulation of the truth. And I'm going to end this in just a second. It was just 33 minutes and 33 seconds. I went to a very nice therapist. I think she was a psychologist, not sure. Her name, never mind her name. Very nice. She was angelic. So I went to her and I'm telling her a story about this god awful thing. And she says, well, and this bad spirit, because whatever, if you have my level of trauma, you have a lot of bad spirits, whatever. So she says, well, that's just a thought form. You know that, right? And I went, oh, okay. Talk about not being validated. So we continue to talk. And then she suggests something for me working with an angel. I went, oh, you mean the thought form of an angel? And she looked at me. She wanted to kill me. She was so angry. But she said, okay, okay, okay. You're right. She didn't want to deal with darkness. What the hell is she doing dealing with people that need therapy? Your therapist doesn't want to deal with darkness. She doesn't want to deal with you getting hysterical. And the best thing for you is for you to get hysterical and release that off of you. Oh, no, they don't deal with that. We don't deal with darkness in this country. And when people see it, then they say they're mentally ill. Well, throughout history, it's known that people that we call mentally ill are people whose spirits in their lives are not under their control. It's always spirit invasion. So why are we dealing with it with in the Lord's Prayer? It doesn't say deliver us from evil. It says help us to be in the present, not disassociated. So why are we giving people medication that disassociates them further? If they've been classified as mentally ill, which I never was. My condition, according to every single person I went to, which were 3 psychologists, and then Dr. Colin Ross, who was a psychiatrist, I never was put on any meds, no medication, nada. My I was just say classification, what it got, whatever they call it. They give you a name of whatever it is you have, was severe dissociative disorder, which is totally accurate. Never mental illness. They don't classify that as mental illness. What can I tell you? So I was going to tell you a story, but I forgot what the story was. Anyway, let's do a mantra just for me to feel better. And I would like for you several times through the day to do a visualization of me in the future with all the books that need to be written about this stuff so that everybody can learn all of this stuff that I went through in order to be able to teach it, and me happy with my kids and my grandkids and a companion and a bank account, which, by the way, is the reason why I'm not getting mail, because somebody was from Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, post office, playing with my money and assuming that I would be dead at this point. One day I'll describe the ceremony that somebody saw that was done to unalive me, but not today. So let's go ahead and do something pleasant as a mantra. What is a black astrologer? It's a person who's black who does astrology. And I know I'm making a generic statement, but I have to tell you the difference. Oh my God. Okay, so we're going to do what is it that I need? Faith. The mantra is, please God help me with my intention to have faith. Okay, let's do that one because that's the one I need. And I'm going to do the music that is for the crown chakra. Videos. Okay. And you can do the mantra and do the Om at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to read to you the letter that I sent to Anouk Viegas Halpern, whose father is Rene de Viagas. And if I have made a mistake, please correct me. Let me read you the letter. Because maybe my email, which I sent via email, also got intercepted, being it that they have control over everything. So I said, in the subject, I said, I'm talking about you on my podcast social media until your father is dealt with, which is Rene de Viagas on 63rd Avenue. Hello, Anouk. I'm sorry, but I must defend my family and will not stop talking about you and your father till he's under control. He has blankety, 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 blank, many people, including me, threatening entire families, continuing a reign of terror. I mean no harm. Take care of this. And a Santero solution, which means black magic, won't work, as authorities already know about that tool, and blackmail won't work either. So get creative and take care of this. Why am I saying it like that? Because she is possibly as victimized as I am. But I don't know where else to turn because the government's not taking care of it. Local authorities are not taking care of it. And can we get a gun and shoot him? I'm certainly not going to do that. You know what the neat thing is? This may be the darkest country on the planet, the United States. Oh, don't we shine? We don't shine now that everything has been revealed. But this is where we're supposed to come together, the dark and the light. Wouldn't it be great if under our new president we do that? But please don't throw the Bible at people because that's not going to work, because that's finger pointing. It's an integration of light and dark. And I am complaining because I need for it to stop. So, this is possibly an incredible opportunity for this country with the Epstein client list and da 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 da. It's an opportunity. Are we strong enough to take it? Can we be like Tantric Buddhism, where there's a recognition that an integration of light and dark is where you achieve the highest level of magic, because that's what the highest level of magic is. Can we do this? I'm starting to think that maybe we can, but I need to get stabilized. I need to get stabilized to be able to do my part. Thank you for listening. And I have no ill will towards Anouk Viegas helper, but this is going to stop. I'll take the whole country down if I have to. If I could, I would. And maybe that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And thank you for listening. And by the way, I'm totally controlled on YouTube. They're not even trying to hide the fact that they're controlling things. They're not even trying to hide the fact that they're controlling my numbers and the quality and everything else. We are definitely in interesting times.